everybody. This is Dr. Francois Tessier again, and we have our enthusiast, Dr. Suzanne Campbell-Fournel, that is talking to us for so many times about food. We are crazy for that content. We love it as we love to eat. And Dr. Suzanne, today you have a very special topic, right? Before we start today, Dr. Suzanne, I have a very specific question to ask you, which is a general question.
Okay.
Why are we talking about food?
As the sun is to the planet essential, food and the right foods are essential to our well-being, our connection to that powerful energy. And food is our foundation. It's what impacts our moods, it impacts our thinking, it impacts our physical, our cognitive, as well as our spiritual functioning. So that's why food is so important. And today's topic, oils and fats, people just say, oh, I can't have any oil, I can't have any fat. And we have to. It's an essential part of our human existence.
Right. So we're going to talk about oils and fat. Let's jump into that then.
Good, good. Well, the objective for today really is to look at defining some of the differences between oils and fats, which ones are suitable for cooking, which ones you want to avoid, and we'll identify some of those that are critical for optimal health. And when we have optimal health, that means every cell is open to that positive healing energy that we encounter daily through our living. One of the things we've focused on in our earlier presentations have been on the micronutrients. And today I really wanted to focus on macronutrients. And we have three macronutrients that are essential to human health: fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. And we all know that a carbohydrate can be a strawberry, or it can be a taco. It can be an apple, a spinach. So carbohydrates fall into a big area. But today we're talking about fats. And I really thought it was important because people say, oh, I want to avoid fat. I'm on a fat-free diet. And I want to show you the science of why it's important that this macronutrient fat is in our daily intake.
Dr. Suzanne, what is the difference between a micro and macronutrients? What is the difference? Small definition.
Micronutrients are all of your phytonutrients, your your minerals, and your vitamins. Those are micronutrients, and they make up an essential part. We have to have both micro and macro. So I look at the macronutrients is the gas we put in our car, and the micronutrients are what keep it functioning perfectly.
Oh. Is it because the molecule is bigger, or is it?
No, it has nothing to do with that. Oh. It's just the way the nutrients have been classified.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Okay. So macro, those are the three areas that we're focusing on, and today only the fats. And the science behind that demonstrates that our nervous system, our cardiovascular system, think of them as either plumbing systems that are full of pipes that you want to keep nice and healthy and smooth so nothing clings, or you want to think of your neurological system like electrical wires You want those wires to be smooth, no fraying on it. And we know that trans foods cause those neurotransmitters to have frayed lining. We talked about that earlier in an earlier presentation. And of course, when we look at good fats and good clean food, they keep those protective coating that are on all of our neurotransmitters. They keep that protective coating healthy. When it's not healthy, that's when we have inflammation. And inflammation is the foundation of all degenerative disease.
Right.
So critically important. So let's look at oil. What on earth is oil? Well, it's a chemical substance and it's liquid. And when you look at the history, you go back into history, there were evidence that naturally oil was found, and they found that even they could drag things to make it as a lubricant. They took fats and heated them, and then they became liquid, and then it becomes an oil. So we're looking at the liquid. It doesn't mix with water, but fats will mix with oils. So really an interesting substance, oils. And oils can be animal, coming from animal fats, vegetables have fats, or they can be petrochemical, coming from the earth.
Oh.
And of course, we transform all of those in different ways. So when we look at motor oil or the different types of oil,
Right.
when we look at oils, we've got history of where oil has been used for lighting and in religious ceremonies. Oil is precious. Many cultures for over 5,000 years, it's been demonstrated that they revered oil and saw its importance, not only and using it in religious ceremonies as cosmetics, as I said. We had oil in paintings, and originally they were using the natural vegetable oils in their paintings, in oil paintings, when we find old ones. And then I had to use this because as man evolved mechanically from the wheel into gears, they began to see where the wheel and the oils come together, so that even moving things, they found it slid better. Logs slid better when they had put down a fish, or like fish skins, and they realized, oh, this is like a lubricant that's moving our logs along easier. So oil has evolved, and now, of course, we're using it in good ways and in not so good ways. So when we look at oils and fats, oils really are liquid at room temperature, and fats are solid at room temperature. That's basically the difference when we're trying to categorize them, especially for human consumption. And I had one person say to me, yeah, but the minute butter gets into your body temperature moves it up, and therefore it's not going to be a problem. It has nothing to do with whether it's liquid at room temperature or solid at room temperature. It has to do with the molecules and how your body metabolizes those molecules. So the difference between oils and fats, that's it. Warm and has to deal with room temperature. The other is that our fats can be saturated, and they can be trans fats, where hydrogen process is added to any kind of an oil, a vegetable oil, and it becomes a trans fat.
But it's
And fats
it's
are,
not a natural process. We don't
no, it is
find.
not a natural process, not
Right.
at all.
Okay. Are you going to
And
talk about how it was created, or shall we say it now? No.
no, no, I'm not getting into that chemical process, just that it is an unnatural hydrogen molecule is attached. So you can take a good vegetable oil that might be good for your body, and they hydrogenate it, and whoops, voila, no longer so good. So you want to remember that those are the solid ones, and most fats that we find are animal fats, and you'll find those in yogurt. Oils, as I said, they're liquid at room temperature, they're unsaturated, and the source is basically plant sources. So that's a essential, crucial difference. One of the interesting things about these essential fatty acids and lipids, we know that our body, as I said, needs good fats. We need it to function. We need it to protect our bodies. So the oils and fats belong to that organic group of, and it's a grouping called lipids. So when you get your blood test from the doctor, sometimes you'll see that word lipids, blood lipids. All it means is blood fats. When I was taking my nutrition certification, they biopsied our fat, and oh my gosh, they could tell, yes, it's a fat in my body. They could tell where it came from. Did it come from animal fat, or was it a plant-based fat? Really interesting, the body hanging on and being able to tell that difference was very interesting process. So what we're looking at are the good fats, needing to eat more, and the bad fats, the things that we must avoid. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about also how we're going to use these fats, because how we use them can also have an impact on how our bodies really are able to handle it. So think of a saturated fat, like you're just saturated with So usually it comes from beef, pork, poultry, bacon, butter, cheese, all those things. Now, the important thing is that coconut and palm oil are saturated fats. People think they came from a plant, that they're not a saturated fat, but they are. Very interesting molecularly. So coconut oil has gotten a lot of good publicity in the last 4 or 5 years, and rightly so. But I want you to really remember that it belongs in the saturated fat category, and that's one of those fats we try to not have so much in our diet.
Yeah, but it was said that the way the molecules of coconut oil is digested is different from other saturated fat. Is that so?
That is correct. That is correct. However, you do want to make sure that, for example, let's say you've sauteed a piece of chicken in a coconut oil, you will have modified that coconut oil, and then it's no longer as easy to digest or easy to assimilate. So then we look at our unsaturated fats, which have 2 categories. And you don't have to remember the 2 categories. It doesn't matter. It's just unsaturated are the good ones, and saturated are the not so good. So saturated one, the almonds, cashews, peanuts, and you're going to see these names of these particular foods come up again and again throughout the presentation this morning. We have the polyunsaturated, and those are corn oils, sesame oils, cottonseed oils, and unsaturated coming from fish. It's the only animal that had a mummy that has unsaturated fats. So that's really important. And as we mentioned earlier, that trans fats, that they're coming from mostly our processed foods. And basically, that helps in keeping things from going rancid. So these foods that you see in this image have quite a long shelf life. And the trans fats came about so that things could have a long shelf life. So if you're running a food chain and stores and you need things to move and things go on sale, I often laugh in a pharmacy or grocery store. Check the best before date because it's on sale probably 2 months or 3 months before they can no longer sell it. So
Right.
our trans fats had a key role in keeping things preserved in that way. So when we look at the essential fatty acids, those are the good fats, the ones we need. The body cannot produce essential fatty acids at all. We need to get them from dietary sources. And they're a critical component in all of our cell membranes. It is the part that the cell membrane is what allows the toxins to leave a cell after the cell has used the energy. It allows the nutrients to come in. So you really want to make sure your cell membranes are well protected because it's a gateway for in and out of nutrients that need to be introduced into the cell, and then of course the flushing of the used up energy.
So sorry, I have one question. Does it mean that it only impacts on the envelope of the cell or around the cell? Where does it happen actually? Is it on the envelope or inside of it?
I'm not a food chemist. It's the membrane, that envelope of the cell. That
so it's the envelope, I guess.
Together. Yeah.
Right.
We do know there's some good research that demonstrates that these essential fatty acids can regulate it can impact, and I really look at not regulate, but they impact our cholesterol levels and blood pressure. So those are the magical, what I love to say, your beautiful O's, your omegas, and 3 and 6. So you thank the universe for having omega-3 and 6 because that's what keeps our membranes so healthy and able to handle all of those transactions between nutrients and between waste. So just to go over that again, there's saturated fats, monosaturated, polyunsaturated. The only thing that's really important is whether it's saturated or unsaturated.
Right.
So now we get to our cooking oils. So looking at natural oils where there's no, it doesn't have a lot of particularly nutritional significance, but it has significance in that it's not been modified in any ways. You'll find a lot of things fortified. That means they've injected into an oil or a food, something they want to fortify it with vitamin D or want to fortify it with vitamin E, whatever they have. A natural oil usually costs more, as well as organic. So organic oils are usually listed as organic based on the country that you're in or whatever particular geographical jurisdiction you're living under. There will be different criteria for organic. So some say that it's organic in that it was raised organically, but that doesn't mean that the neighbor's farm down the way who was using pesticides blew onto your organic. So some jurisdictions say that organic peanuts had to have gone through testing after harvesting to show they have no residue of pesticides.
Right.
But if you go to the market and buy organic, and then they meet all the criteria of how it's been raised, but it doesn't eliminate the fact that perhaps there are residue.
So that there is still a confusion between those two, right? Between those
Right, and it
regulations.
depends on, as I said, the jurisdiction. I might be in Germany, really, really strict conditions on what you can call organic, whereas in the United States, a little, or Chile, a little less restrictive.
Right. There is something that we don't see here. Are the virgin oils? Is that because they are not important?
Well, I haven't gotten there. Okay.
I'm in advance. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Go on.
So I'm just saying the origins of these oils and what can happen. You can get oils that are toasted, meaning that, let's say they've roasted a sesame seed and then pressed it to get the oil out of it. So you're getting a roasted sesame seed oil. So they roast the element ahead of time, and then they do the pressing. So that's what will give it flavor. So you'll get flavored oils, and I probably should call that flavored oils, and how they will infuse a flavor into an oil. So absolutely, when we look at oils and the processing, taking an olive into an oil, a sesame into an oil, almonds into an oil, walnuts into an oil. The key of that is cold pressed.
Right.
Cold pressed. Heat, just always remember, anytime you heat a plant-based anything, you're heating, you're losing nutrients. You're losing nutrient value. And you want a virgin, first pressed, cold pressed oil. I don't care whether it's olive oil, sesame oil, walnut oil, almond oil, coconut oil. That's a little bit of a different processing, or pumpkin seed oil. Those seeds are not roasted, but what happens, as I said before, they could toast any one of these or roast it and then press it. And that's where you get a flavor. Sometimes they will cold press the oil and then add a little bit of a roasted, either sesame seeds or almonds, and
some
you
essences.
Get an infused flavor. So those are for, I know there are wine snobs, and now there are oil snobs, because getting to the best oil is so wonderful for the taste and the palate and what it can bring to the food that you're cooking, as well as a good glass of wine. So looking at how it's processed, cold pressed is where it's at. That's really the important thing to remember.
And some of them are superfood, like pumpkin seed oils and black seed oils, for example. They can be even considered as medicine, and even olive oil, isn't it?
Pardon? Yes. These all of these oils, when we look at it historically, they were used often for healing, as in a cosmetic role on the skin, used in many ways as medicine. And I'm going to get into one of the oils that some of it is times it was looked upon as a preventative medicine. And we think of the chemical components of the oils, they have medicinal application for sure.
Yeah.
So when we're cooking with these, I want you to remember that there's a smoke point and a flash point. So the minute we're looking at oils where they begin to decompose, that's when they become harmful. So you want to make sure that you're cooking with an oil that does not give off this gas. And what they discovered is in many countries where people are using these oils either in an open cooking stove, that the vapors that coming off of that heating oil can be harmful to your health in many ways. And it marks the beginning of that oil's decomposition. And it's shown that it can be harmful. So the other thing, as it hits a smoke point, you end up with reduced flavor, there's less nutrition, it begins to create free radicals. And we know that those free radicals are not people out there protesting something, a free radical running around your body trying to do damage. So you do not need free radicals added because you've heated your oil too much. Our whole purpose in eating healthy is to reduce free radicals. And the smoke point will vary with the type of quality of your olive oils, for example. And of course, olive oil is not one that I suggest you cook with. So here is just a quick look at the smoke point, and it's in the Fahrenheit and Celsius. I don't know whether you can see it, but let's take avocado oil, for example, okay?
Yeah.
It has a much lower smoke point than, well, it's sort of in that, whoops, I'm sorry, I'm looking at, I was looking at peanut oil. It has a pretty high smoke point, okay? And that's good because you can cook, and you can cook at, let's say you get it to 180 and you're still able to cook with it. So it's below the smoke point level. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you look, we often think of peanut oil here in Quebec, in North America. Fondue cooking with peanut oil was the cat's meow at one point in time, and still is. And so if you're cooking with peanut oil or soybean oil, would be about the same smoke point. Olive oil has a different smoke point than, you can see the difference in the olive oils.
Yeah.
Extra virgin, it's a higher smoke point, and then
Lower,
yeah, than the extra light.
Right.
Okay, so
the best one to cook is the avocado oil.
I would say I cook with walnut oil often. It's not on that list, is it?
It is not.
And insert that one. So that would be the best. It might not be the one in which you use the most, but I find that it varies on your taste and what your comfort level is. In terms of, do I like the taste? Do the foods respond well to this? So those are the sorts of things that
Yeah.
we wanted to weigh. Then there's the flash point of oil. And of course, in our homes, most kitchen fires are because of someone's put oil in the pan, the phone rings, away they get chatting, and bingo, it's on fire. Or the kids want to make French fries, and bingo, you have a flash point where your oil is
Burning.
burning. And of course, you cannot use burning oil. That's a real problem.
Yeah, dangerous.
But the flash point is not far from the smoke point. So remembering that. The other thing is that oils are best kept in a cool, dark place. If you have an oil with a clear bottle, keep it in a dark cupboard, cool. If you have a pantry that's cool, was at my client's home, their heating duct to the second floor went up through the pantry. So when I opened the pantry, it was like opening a heater. And here sat their foods in a very, very warm, so that just smelled the olive oil, and it was like, it was already going rancid. So your oils in a clear bottle, you want to make sure they're in dark bottles, dark containers, or stored in a dark place, cool. Sometimes I even, if I'm going away, I will put my olive oil in the refrigerator. Of course, with COVID, I'm not going anywhere, but if I were going away for 2 or 3 weeks, I would put my oils in my refrigerator, just so that this process of rancidity did not begin to take place, because there's nothing worse. I remember my mother's cosmetics back in the 50s, 60s. Of course, there's oil in those cosmetics. And if they had been sitting there a while, they had this old rancid smell to it. And so it's really important that fats and oils are stored carefully to ensure that rancidity doesn't begin to take over in your bottle or your jar, perhaps, of oil, coconut oil. So that's a real issue in terms of storage, and people don't think about it. They just shove it back in the cupboard and not worry about it. Or they buy the oil in great big quantities because they're going to save money at our big box store, grocery stores. Oh, wow, I'm going to save money. But by the time you get halfway through that large bottle, unless you're running a restaurant, it really is not good any longer. So let's go to the next. And that rancidity is an oxidation process where that is being broken down, where the chemical structures are broken down, and it's just not good at all for human consumption. That it's something you really, really want to avoid.
And the taste also changes anyway.
Oh, the taste changes. It's going
texture.
it will affect its smoke point. It will affect its flame flash point. So those are wanting to stay away from rancid or oxidized oils. Right. So the minute you open it up and it doesn't smell right, do not use it. Don't say, oh, I'm going to heat it and the bacteria will go away. No, think of your cells. Smell it. Does it smell good? My cells, and you say to your cells, I'm not going to give you this. You deserve better. So I know we're afraid of throwing away things that are not good, and thinking that we can use it. You can use it, you can eat it, but in the long run, it is not healthy for you. And you may be doing more damage than the damage to your body than the damage to your pocketbook.
Yeah.
So penny wise and pound foolish was something my grandmother always said. Get rid of oils that are rancid, that are oxidized, that don't smell good. Get smaller quantities. You will save in the long run. You will save your cells from the possibility of perhaps having oils, using oil that's past its due date and it's already in the oxidation stage. So that brings us to the good parts of oil. And those are our omegas that are just amazing, that we find in
so omega-3 are the best.
Omega-3s are the best, and omega-6s. You need a good balance. And we get a lot of a variety of omegas. They're come from all different areas. You can get omegas in tomato seeds and raspberry seeds, pomegranate seeds. Omegas are everywhere, and I feel so badly with someone that's got diverticulitis. They stay away from seeds like that because it irritates their bowel, because it's been abused over a long period of time.
Yeah, but
and
if they have
therefore
oil,
not,
if they have
pardon?
oil of this, they can restore it, right?
Yes. Oh, yes. If you're using the good, healthy way. So omegas, the omega-3s, as I said, you can get it from fish, avocados, nuts. Look at this, spinach. Someone said there's not spinach oil in spinach. There can be omegas in eggs. So take a good look at this. And then when we look at omega-6s, some of those same foods are found in omega-6. So almonds, for example, and walnuts contain omega-3 as well as omega-6. So it's beautiful oils that we can get through our natural ways. Flax seeds, flax oil, a tablespoon of flax oil a day, or putting it in a smoothie, or I don't like it just plain. I will put it on some spinach or in a salad.
In many things, in fact, in many things.
Yeah. And the other thing is with flax seeds, you can be sure that you grind it, because the lining, the flax seed is a hard little, it's protecting the oil in there, that's protecting its omegas so powerfully that it's hard to break down. And we as human, our digestive systems don't. So grind that flax seed, but don't grind it. If you're going to grind it and have some kept ahead of time, keep it in the refrigerator, because we don't want it to go rancid or oxidized. So our omega flax seeds are just absolutely, the flax plant is really a gift from the gods, because of the omega-3 that it offers us as humans. It is so readily absorbed in our bodies naturally. The flax gives us a beautiful clothing, natural, breathable. So it's a great seed. I don't want to go off on that.
It tastes good. We love the taste anyway. We do.
Yes. And omega-6s, of course, are important. Again, we look at that balance. So when we talk about, I didn't want to leave without talking about how these oils impact us energetically, that they're coming from seeds and coming from plants, those natural our unsaturated ones that are giving us a gentle hug. Thinking of that, that your cells are getting a good hug, that it's comforting, it's going to balance and protect those linings of your neurotransmitters, and it will balance your nervous system. It's protecting those cell membranes. And as I said, it moves the good energy and nutrients into our cells. So really from an energetic level, I'm always amazed at how man began to use these oils early on without technology saying, oh, well, we now know that it is essential to the cell membrane health. And because 200, 300, 1,000 years ago, 2,000, when oils were being used, we knew that it was helping us, but now we know at a technical level why it's helping us. And so
Right.
it's beautifully, I just look at it energetically as really being a big hug to our cells, taking care of it. So this really looks at eating more, just a great little guide. Eat more fish oil. And I'm not saying the fish oils that are coming out where the fish have been contaminated with mercury and all kinds of things. Find those oils that are clean and pure. I had in a previous slide, we were looking at omegas, the fish like sardines are a wonderful way of getting, if you can get them that are organic and clean. Flax oil, of course, we've talked about. Olive oils are really good. I would avoid cooking and in heating those olive oils up. You want to, I saute first in water and then add the oil into my recipe after the cooking process has taken place. So I don't lose the value of that olive oil. So that's where I put nut oils as a good cooking
Oil.
option. So we want to eat less of any of these that fit in those areas. Some are because, for example, and I don't have in here canola oil, which should be, many of these are genetically modified. They're beginning to, because coconut oil acts like a fat, but it comes into the, when it's outside the body. And as you said, the body is able to ingest it in a really good way. But again, it is oils we need. I suggest eat less of it, use it on your skin. People say, geez, Susan, I can't believe you're going to be 80 in June, but I am. And coconut oil on the skin helps. Cosmetics that have coconut oil in them are good. You want to avoid the kind of things on your skin that have been highly processed, just like you want to avoid on your skin the kinds of things in your body, the kinds of things that have been highly processed. So try to keep as natural as possible and avoid, of course, trans fats, partially hydrogenated oils, and hydrogenated oils. So these, you've got to check your ingredient. You've got to check the ingredient. And I was going to put a slide in there to remind you, check your ingredients. When you're getting a product at the grocery store, check the ingredients, that they do not contain any of these properties. And that leads to supplementing. If omega-3 and 6s are really important, then we want to look at where do we supplement. As a kid, my grandmother always made sure we got that tablespoon a day of cod liver oil. That was awful. I remember holding my nose, and as she would shove it down her throat, my brother got to a point where he'd go and spit it out, but I was afraid I'd get punished, so I didn't. I took my cod liver oil. And then, of course, they've come along with fish oil capsules, which are really great. And I suggest for my clients a great omega capsule that's made from tomato seeds that have been cold pressed, raspberry seeds that have been cold pressed, pomegranate seeds that have been cold pressed, seaweed, because the fish really get their omega from the plant food that they ingest. So that's where the omegas come from. So this particular vegetarian based omega supplement has bypassed the fish and has gone straight to using either seeds or seaweed in terms of extracting the omega-3 from that. So great options. Think about supplementing if you think you're not getting enough in your daily food intake. So thank you so very much. Just remember, fats and oils are essentials.
Yeah. They are also, some of them, as we said, they are more than just essential. They are medicine. Like
Exactly.
we mentioned pumpkin seed oil, but we can talk about CBD oil as well, which is
Yes.
a powerful medicine, and there is a lot of research based on this. Is more than just a complement for it is clearly used as a medicine, right?
Oh yes, yeah, exactly. But I didn't want to get into that today.
That's another subject.
Yeah. So to me, the goal of this presentation was to look at the importance of good oils, the things to stay away from, and the kinds of things to take in account when you're preparing food with oil. So I hope I was able to capture that for everybody. That
yes. Guess what's the most popular oil in Sri Lanka? Coconut oil.
Coconut oil, yes.
Because we have coconut everywhere. It's growing everywhere. So coconut oil is used for the skin, is used for cooking.
That's why you're looking younger and younger.
Yes, I put it on my, coconut oil is amazing as cosmetics, and for the hair, they're using coconut oil instead of having chemical gel for their hair. So it is, it's an amazing product, and it's a superfood also. Coconut,
yes, it is.
It is a superfood. Well, again, Dr. Suzanne, you amazed us. Thank you so very much.
So much fun to be with you.
So, Dr. Suzanne, thank you, and we'll meet again very soon. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
We'll talk. Bye-bye.
Bye.